It's KarKix, classics, custom sports cars and trucks, plus news, great places to go, and products you'll love. Don't forget to check us out on the web at KarKix.com. That's KarKix.com, and on Facebook and Twitter. Now, here's the host of KarKix, Bob Lang.
Hi, and welcome to KarKix. While we're all about covering the auto biz, classics, hot rod sports cars, and other fun vehicles, this week it's our star-studded Scottsdale special. Classic cars and hot rods take center stage in the sunny Southwest for the Woodstock of Old Tin, the Super Bowl of used car sales, you get it. Contributing editor Mark Roman had a number of brushes with greatness and was witness to an incredible Scottsdale year. Jay Leno went rolling by on his tractor, a farm tractor. On the plus side, he didn't run Mark down. On the downside, he didn't stop either. But we do have an interview with the star of Chasing Classic Cars, Wayne Carini, and Donald Osborne from What's My Car Worth? There are three important people in the classic car auction: the bidder, the auctioneer, and the bidder's assistant. We'll interview the world's greatest auctioneer, Charlie Ross, and the most beautiful and famous bidder's assistant. Yes, I mean Amy Assiter. There's a few surprises about that lady you'll want to hear about, and she'll tell you how you too can become an expert auctioneer. Collectors, car builders, coverage from Barrett-Jackson, RM, Russo and Steel, and the Gooding auction, where the average car price is greater than the average home price for better neighborhoods. All that and more on this edition of KarKix. Now, here's Mark Roman from the road.
It's the RM auctions, and I'm speaking with somebody that I've been waiting to talk to since last year when I came to visit. It's the managing director for RM Europe, and it's Max Girardo. Max, how are you?
Very good. Nice to finally talk to you, and nice for you to come here.
I followed your work on the web when I watch London, and I watch some of the other shows. Tell me how important Scottsdale is to you.
Oh, Scottsdale is a key. It's the beginning of the year. It's the first big auction of the year. It's what gets us all going. So it sets the mood for the rest of the year. So this is one of our major sort of important auctions.
I watched last year when that Mercedes went on the block, and what did it go for?
$1.3 million. Amazing, wasn't it?
Oh, what was the one for 8.3 or something like that?
The one in Monterey, the 540K Special Roadster. Absolutely, world record price for a 540K Special Roadster. Amazing price.
You're the auctioneer. What does it feel like when you're on the block? Is there a lot of stress?
Oh, well, the stress is before. I get quite nervous before, but I guess that's normal. If I didn't have the stress before, then it wouldn't be so much fun anymore. But once you get going, I have a great time out there. It's great.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a fun year for RM. Monaco's got Ducatis coming.
Exactly. We've got a collection of 100 Ducatis, all sold without reserve. One man's passion. He's collected them over since he was 18, started buying Ducatis, and that's what he's put together. And then we'll have about 80 cars that we're selecting at the moment for the Monaco sale during the Historic Grand Prix. Of course, we're Arizona this weekend. We've got Amelia Island, Monterey, which is always a feature point of the calendar. So it's going to be a good year.
What goes into preparation for an event like this?
A lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. We spend a lot of time trying to find the right cars and good quality cars as well.
So I take it that you actually start the day after this is over working on 2013 for Scottsdale?
Absolutely. As soon as this one's done, we think about what are we going to do for next year. And then, of course, the more immediate sales like Monaco and like Amelia Island this year. But, it's always searching for the great cars.
Question I have is, what is the difference between a bidder for United States versus somebody from the UK? When I watch online, it's completely different in my vision, but what about yours?
It is. It's amazing how different it is. In America, it's much more of a show. It's much more flamboyant. People like to be present and like to be seen to be bidding and having a good time. In Europe, European collectors tend to be a lot more discreet. They might even be in the room, but they'll be bidding on the telephone with one of our girls on the phone desk. So it's much more sort of subdued and calmer.
I got the impression that they like to bid in smaller increments as well, too, and they kind of can really try patience, can't it?
That's absolutely right. They do like to bid in smaller increments. It's a different style of bidding, but we get there in the end anyway.
Any favorite cars here this year?
Oh, where do I start? I think the 507 is really one of my BMW 507. I took it out last night actually for a drive, and I have to say, fantastic. Really enjoyable to drive, and the 410. I really enjoy the European sports cars. That's what I really like.
I was looking through the RM auction magazine, and I saw that you actually had a jaunt, and it was from Monaco to Paris. Tell me about that in a Ford GT40.
That's right. It wasn't so bad, I have to say. That was great. A great drive. We did a little rally with some friends and clients from Paris to Monaco, and it was a great drive. Really had a good time with my colleague Peter. Nice to have some American muscle on the roads in Europe for a change. You know, have to be a bit different.
Yeah, now over in the UK, give your impression of what the American cars are over there compared to when we see all the British and we see all the Europeans over here.
Well, it's funny, you know, that there is a following for American cars in Europe, but the following for European cars in North America is much, much stronger. So a Mercedes-Benz will be much have a closer following here than, let's say, a Duesenberg would in Europe. It's generally the more common brands like Shelbys and Cobras that have a following in Europe, but the American pre-war cars don't really have as much of a following.
Well, I know with the muscle cars, to actually own one over in the UK, that's pretty expensive, because what's petrol cost over there per litre?
Oh, per litre? I mean, we're at £1.50, so what's that? It's about a sort of $2.50 per litre. So, yeah, we can't afford to run them, that's why.
And the equivalency, they've, what is it, about $7 to $8 over here then, I take it?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so it's a lot of money, huh?
That really is, but if there's any advice to somebody that's actually looking to take and put a vehicle into the RM, how do they approach you guys?
Well, pretty easy. I mean, you can call one of our offices. We've got offices in California and in Canada, of course, in Europe. So contact one of our specialists with all of the car details. And what we'll do is we'll, where possible, come out and see the car and try and give each person the best advice in putting the right car in the right auction so that we can get a good result for them and put it, show it in its best light.
So tell me, if I have a car maybe in New Mexico or Texas, but I want to put it into one of the auctions, you can actually determine which would be the best one to put it into?
That's one of our strong points. Having offices and auctions all over the world, we try and select the cars depending on which auction. If a client of mine will call me from Germany, for example, with a Duesenberg, I will generally advise him, much better to bring it over to America to sell than sell it in Europe, because they're the bigger market. So try and select the right cars in the right place and also the right time.
I had the opportunity to watch you guys last year with the Britisher coming, and I was just in awe. I was just amazed at the selection and the collection that was here and how it went on the block and how you actually managed and handled everything. I mean, you actually took a lot of those bids straight up, and you the electricity and the energy was just amazing.
Last year there was really a great atmosphere. There was, it was really, you could feel, as you said, you could feel the electricity in the room. And the cars were just flying out the door. It was great. It's great to see so many passionate collectors here and all, trying to buy, and how happy they are when they do get to buy the car they want.
How did you ever actually land into RM?
2006, I think it was. I was hired to open the European office. RM didn't exist in Europe at the time. So Rob and Mike came out to me and said, hey, how about opening an office in Europe for us? We're going to do an auction at the Ferrari factory. I thought, yeah, you know what? I'll do that. Why not? And it's been great since.
So you're just down from Carnaby Street, aren't you?
That's right, very well informed. Yeah, Carnaby Street, right in the centre of London, in the thick of it all.
Now, another thing that people might not realize is that RM actually does restorations.
Absolutely, and actually we've won Pebble Beach numerous times over the past 5 years with some of our restorations. And that's something that as well ties into the auctions. So not only do we sell the cars, but we'll also restore them. One of the cars, or often cars that we sell at auction, then go on to our restoration shop, they get restored, and they go onto the lawn at Pebble, and they've won before as well.
I know over the years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, you had the DB5 here at 007, didn't you?
It was here, absolutely, and even better was when we had the Bond car, the actual car that was used in the Bond film at the London auction 2 years ago. That was very exciting.
It's amazing. What do you think the market's going to do in trend for this year?
I think the market's going to be strong as we're seeing good prices for good cars. No stories, matching numbers are always doing very, very well. But overall, cars are selling and cars are doing really well. There's a lot of passion. It's all fueled by passion. So it's pretty resilient to any sort of turmoil in the economy.
Max Girardo, thank you so much. Once again, the managing director for the UK and the European version. And you folks do a great job over here. Welcome to Scottsdale.
Thank you very much. It's been great to be here, and we hope to be back every year.
Time for a look in the KarKix Toolbox.
In the toolbox today is something we all wish we had in the shop. If you have one now, you're lucky. These are made in Texas with a Texas-style guarantee, and they're made with quality workmanship and a patented design. That would all sound good if it was something you could use, wouldn't it? Well, it is. It's a media blaster and a blast cabinet made by Lake Buchanan Enterprises, right in the middle of Texas. The Barrel Blaster and the Blast Master. One is the cabinet style, and the other for larger items like a 60 Chrysler. That would be the Blast Master. It's on wheels with a built-in funnel, ceramic nozzles available in 4 sizes, a gauge relief valve, 10-foot of hose, and it carries 150 pounds of abrasive. You can use aluminum oxide, glass beads, or walnut shells, same as the cabinet model, the Barrel Blaster. Now, the Barrel Blaster, my fave, is a great tool for a wide range of applications. Automotive restoration, gun refinishing, glass etching, surface preparation, rust and paint removal, all of them are a cinch, and really the applications are endless. The unit is tough enough for industrial use, but the cool thing is it's affordable enough for any home shop. With jobs being lost overseas, it's nice to see an American company come along that has something that is both affordable and works great. I'd say Yankee ingenuity, but it's from Texas, you know. At $299, the Barrel Blaster is the deal. It's built from what looks like a 55-gallon drum and outfitted with a blasting gun and gloves, internal work light, 12x16 viewing window, easy access drain for media changes, and an innovative shop vac connection for dust collection. Now, shipping for the Barrel Blaster doesn't hurt either, because what they do is they put all the parts, stand, everything comes packaged inside the barrel, and then it's shipped inexpensively. Assembly is easy. All parts are labeled and require no special tools. The viewing area is great, and the 50-pound media capacity is more than enough for all the grit you need to clean off a part. The shop vac port is perfectly sized, and the 23-inch by 33-inch work area offers plenty of capacity for larger parts up to 10x16. Overall, the Barrel Blaster is a well-built American-made blasting cabinet with an excellent value point. We find it perfectly suited for the shop who needs to blast parts on a regular basis, as well as a hobbyist or a gearhead at home. I know I want one, and you can find out more about it on our links page at KarKix.com. KarKix.com.
Don't forget to tell our sponsors that you heard about them on KarKix. That's how we keep the show rolling.
Gooding & Company certainly has established themselves as a high-end auction company. Gooding & Company had 37 world record prices in 2011, including the 1957 Ferrari 250 Testarossa prototype at $16.39 million. And they also have the record for an American car sold at auction, a 1931 Duesenberg Model J that sold at $10.34 million, the highest recorded sale in Pebble Beach history. Gooding & Company's 2011 Pebble Beach auctions brought more than $78 million in collector cars sold. Gooding & Company is recognized as a collector car auction company specializing in high-end antique, classic, sports, and racing cars. They've had record-breaking results at prestigious venues like Pebble Beach, Scottsdale, and Amelia Island. Not only is Gooding & Company committed to holding high-end auctions, they've also orchestrated many successful private sales. They offer detailed appraisals, guided estate planning, and they've advised some of the world's finest automobile collections. Mark Roman spent some real quality time out at the Gooding auction this year. I think it was because of the hors d'oeuvres and the libations. And now here's Mark Roman to tell you more about it.
And with me is, believe it or not, the auctioneer, Charlie Ross. Charlie, how did the show go today?
It was absolutely amazing. We had 52 vehicles and we sold 52 vehicles.
I want to know about the alloy Mercedes Gullwing.
It was just phenomenal. I think it was a fairly bullish estimate at $2.5 to $3 million, and the bidding started at $2 million. Someone just went straight in, and away it went, and it came down at $4.2 million, which is something of a record. But it's a rare car. Only 29 of them made, and I don't know when the last one was sold at auction.
Tell me about the adrenaline when you're on stage.
It's very, very exciting. Once the bidding gets into its throes, then it just takes over, and everybody else is quiet. You can hear a pin drop when you get close to the sale of a car, and then of course applause and excitement.
$4 million today, but I watched you online when it was Monterey last year. What was that like with the Ferrari?
Oh my goodness, that car took a long, long time to sell. What did it make? 16 million or so. But that was another exciting moment, because I think I stood up there and I said, who'd like to start the bidding at 5 million? And somebody just stood up and said, I'll start it at 10.
just amazing. But how long have you actually been an auctioneer?
I've been an auctioneer since I left school, so since 1968, when I was 18. I'm now 61.
That's right. All right, is it primarily automotive that you've done?
Not really, no. I had a sale room in Woburn in the middle of England selling antique furniture and clocks and china and silver and glass. And David needed an auctioneer when he started Gooding & Company 8 years ago. Somebody had recommended me to him. He came over to England, we met, we got on well, and I've done every single one of his auctions.
What's the difference between selling an antique and selling an automobile?
Well, I don't think there is any difference, other than, generally speaking, the cars are more valuable and every car is driven onto a rostrum, and so the whole process is slower. With furniture, at a reasonable furniture sale, you can probably get along at 100 lots an hour. With these cars, we are selling at 15 or 16 lots an hour.
Thank you so much.
A great pleasure.
Scottsdale 2012, it's the Gooding & Company and Mark Roman for KarKix, and I have to ask you one question, sir. What's my car worth?
Well, it depends. If you put it through today's Gooding & Company auction, it might be worth a lot more than you might have thought.
And the reason I asked is because I'm speaking with none other than Mr. Donald Osborne of What's My Car Worth. Donald, I'm a fan of the show, love the show, and I have to ask you, what compels or draws you to a vehicle?
Well, I think, like everyone else, it's an emotional connection. It could be the way it looks, it could be the way it drives, it could be the reputation that a car has, or your own personal experience with that car.
How do you find the people that have these cars?
Well, that's an interesting point, too. It varies, and I think that it is the cars that we typically use on the show, more often than not, are cars that have been owned by people who have a real passion for the cars. Not typically the collectors who have 30 or 40 or 50 cars and say, well, I think I've got a blue Ferrari, but I'm not quite sure. It's not those kind of people. The people that have a real connection with their cars.
You're into motorcycles as well, too.
No, that is the one thing that I'm not. Although there's a wonderful picture of me connected with one of the episodes of the show where we evaluated a 1912 Harley-Davidson Knucklehead. And there I am perched wearing a leather jacket and nice shades, and that's as far as I get on the bikes.
Let's go back to Scottsdale for a little bit. In the show, of course, you give a real good estimation of what you feel the values are. And what's the market doing? I mean, you probably sat there last night and said, here's my guess for these cars that are coming through the Gooding. How close did you get?
Very close, actually. One of the things that we found, not just here at the Gooding Company auction, but also in a number of other catalog auctions around town, that the estimates in the catalog seem to be a bit high. They would indicate that the market's probably moved up about 20% since last summer and the Monterey sales. And we all know that that's not quite the case, those of us who follow the market. But what we're seeing here, both here and at the RM auctions, which I attended, is that cars are selling. Cars are selling for very good prices, the proper prices. People are selling their cars with reserves that are set properly, but they are a bit below the catalog estimates in most cases. However, having said that, they set a number of world records this afternoon here at Gooding & Company.
You really did any particular favorites that you saw come through?
Well, every one of the world record cars that they set, the 4.5 liter Bentley, the alloy Gullwing, the Ghibli Spider, they're all incredible, wonderful, iconic cars. It really shows that a trend that we've seen in the market for the last probably 3 or 4 years is still holding true. The absolute blue chip cars are the ones that lead the market in terms of appreciation. But what they're doing now, which they hadn't done for a couple of years, is that they're pulling the rest of the market up along with them.
It's just amazing how it's worked today. You back tomorrow as well?
I'm back here tomorrow all day and then off to another auction tomorrow night.
And now I've got to ask you, what do you drive?
Well, my everyday car is a Jaguar XJS convertible. I'm lucky enough to have moved recently from the Hartford, Connecticut area to Palm Springs, California. So I get to actually drive a really sort of frivolous everyday car. So that's a great thing.
Very good. Give me a little bit of your background. It's got to be automotive. What were you doing before this?
Well, my background is quite varied, actually. I've done a number of things in my life. I was an opera singer, sang at the Metropolitan Opera, and I worked in retailing and did international buying for Macy's for a while, and I also worked in marketing, communications, and advertising. But I always loved cars, and I just came to the decision back about 12 years ago that I needed to make my living doing what it was that I loved. And so that's when I started my appraisal business and consulting and continued with my writing.
Any secrets for the show this year?
You'll have to watch to find that out. But we're doing some things that are slightly new in the show this season, and I think that they'll be very exciting for our viewers.
We'll look for you on Velocity. And it is Donald Osborne from What's My Car Worth. I really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll be right back with more KarKix.
Just because your special vehicle was born with less than a perfect suspension doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You'll find the latest improvements in ride technology at Ride Tech. The road-hugging stance, the comfortable and responsive ride, the adjustable ride height and articulation. These are just a few of the reasons you want an air suspension. Follow the lead of professional installers across the country and count on Ride Tech for your complete air suspension solutions. With a Ride Tech suspension, you have a huge range of tunability for load capacity and spring rate right at your fingertips. No tools or component changes needed. You can literally compress compress weeks of tuning into a few minutes with a RideTech air suspension that's adjustable from within the car. Muscle cars, street rods, customs, trucks, even ATVs can benefit from RideTech's quality and innovation. RideTech's extensive research and development department keeps the company on the leading edge of automotive technology, resulting in complete systems and quality kits that are durable, reliable, and efficient. Get the handling your car deserves today at ridetech.com. Find your nearby RideTech dealer at ridetech.com. The Blackhawk Automotive Galleries are like no place you've ever experienced. Located an hour southeast of San Francisco in Danville, California, the Blackhawk encompasses nearly 70,000 square feet. With 4 exhibition galleries, an automotive reference library, and a museum store, plus a special events area and meeting room. The Blackhawk is a Smithsonian affiliate museum, open Wednesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Learn more about the Blackhawk at blackhawkmuseum.org. See you there.
For KarKix, it's Mark Roman, Scottsdale, the Gooding & Company, and I knew I'd run into him. I just didn't know where. It's Wayne Carini from Chasing Classic Cars. Wayne, what do you think of this down here?
Well, we always love coming to Scottsdale. We've got 3 cars in this auction here. We've got a Gullwing, we've got this nice Ford Woody, and we've got a Ferrari Lusso that's outside in the tent. So 3 cars, we hope they do really well.
Oh my gosh, I'm just a fan. I love the show, but is it stressful down here, waiting to see what's going to happen?
Nah, you can't be stressed out. You just enjoy the company, seeing your friends, seeing all these beautiful cars, and what happens, happens. I mean, you have no control over it, so you just hope for the best.
What season are you into now?
We're shooting season 5, 6, and 7, with an option for another 4 after that. So people see us on 26 episodes this year.
My favorite, it's the Lancia.
Yeah, Lancia's great cars. Yeah. I just bought one. Matter of fact, bought another one yesterday.
That Aurelia that you had on the block, that was at Amelia Island or was that Monterey?
I don't think we had an Aurelia at Monterey or Amelia. So, that was a coupe. Yes.
Coupe.
I'm sorry, not the Spider. Yes, the coupe. Yeah. Yeah, that was a great car.
Definitely. How's the show evolved?
A lot of people calling us now. We find a lot of cars due to the fact that the show's on the air, so people call me with all sorts of hidden treasures constantly. It's excellent for business. People are just fantastic. The fans are great.
At 40 Motorsports, you've got actually a 67 Beetle sitting up there right now, yellow.
Yeah.
I had one identical to that back in about 83. Wish I had it again.
We love Volkswagen Beetles. Everybody's got a story with a Volkswagen.
Amazing. What do you think the market's going to do in trend for this year?
I think the market's fine. I think that the high-end cars are doing well. The muscle cars have come down to reality now so that someone can really buy them and enjoy them instead of all the crazy numbers they used to be. And I think the market in general is doing very well. It's a world economy, and people enjoy collecting cars throughout the world, so it's working well.
And looking forward to seeing you tomorrow with the Russo and Steel. You're doing a seminar tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we're going to do a seminar. We got a bunch of panelists over there, some real cool guys in the car industry presenting different facets. Corky's in the tire business. McKeel sells collector car insurance. So we've got press people that write in magazines. So it's going to be an all-around good show. And we'll talk about the market in general and what maybe is evolving and what's emerging, or the emerging market.
Looking forward to it, and welcome to Scottsdale. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up next, well, why not just stay right there and find out? KarKix will be right back.
Hagerty provides specialty insurance for more classic cars than anyone else in the world. They specialize in classic and collector cars. Since that's all they do, they're able to focus all their attention on you, your collection, and your particular needs, your usage, your interests. They offer a guaranteed value policy that allows you to cover your car for what it's worth, and you receive every cent of your car's insured value in the event of a covered total loss. Hagerty's service and knowledge are unparalleled. They understand the collector car market and the importance of insuring your car for its true value. And they know how to handle claims on damage to your classic cars. For example, they have a parts specialist on staff whose only job is to track down the perfect replacement part. Hagerty is made up of people who own collector vehicles, closely follow the market, and know the history of the auto industry. They've experienced the joys and challenges of restoration and attend every car event they can get to. Contact Hagerty Insurance today and see the difference on the web at Hagerty.com or call 877-922-9701. Tell them you heard about them on KarKix.com. Just because your special vehicle was born with less than a perfect suspension doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You'll find the latest improvements in ride technology at Ride Tech. The road-hugging stance, the comfortable and responsive ride, the adjustable ride height and articulation. These are just a few of the reasons you want an air suspension. Follow the lead of professional installers across the country and count on Ride Tech for your complete air suspension solutions. With a Ride Tech suspension, you have a huge range of tunability for load capacity and spring rate right at your fingertips. No tools or component changes needed. You can literally compress weeks of tuning into a few minutes with a Ride Tech air suspension that's adjustable from within the car. Muscle cars, street rods, customs, trucks, even ATVs can benefit from Ride Tech's quality and innovation. Ride Tech's extensive research and development department keeps the company on the leading edge of automotive technology, resulting in complete systems and quality kits that are durable, reliable, and efficient. Get the handling your car deserves today at ridetech.com. Find your nearby Ride Tech dealer at ridetech.com. Russo and Steel is a targeted auction company. They specialize in European sports cars, American muscle cars, hot rods, and customs. Russo and Steel was launched in Scottsdale, Arizona in 2001, and the name, you would think came from two people, is actually from the cars they love. Russo, representing the European sports cars, is taken from the name Russo Rubino, the dark color red on vintage Ferraris. The name Steel represents Detroit Iron, the Detroit Iron of the American muscle car. Cool, huh? Drew Alcazar developed an auction block that, well, is pretty unique. It's an auction in the round. The buyers are right on the floor with the cars. No cars on stages, no separation, ground level auction arena with 360-degree access around the vehicles. Kind of a virtual boxing ring or coliseum effect. It puts the buyers right in the center of the action. The auction in the round maintains a high energy and an intimate surrounding that creates a very interactive auction block. And that's what live auction events are all about. Now here's Mark Roman at the Russo and Steel in Scottsdale, Arizona.
I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman named Chris Wilkins. We were actually looking at a few Mopar pieces, and he started to explain to me that he actually does some work that's involved with SEMA. And you might be familiar with his work. Chris, tell me what you do.
Well, we actually build SEMA image vehicles, and we're most notable for doing vehicles with the OEMs, such as GM, Ford, or Chrysler. And we do concept image vehicles. That is to debut a relatively revamped styling cues that we do on a brand new vehicle. So we actually take brand new vehicles apart and then customize them. And I work with an actual product designer with degreed background professional, John McBride, which lives in another state. He actually lives in Pennsylvania now, and his history is through GMP Diecast. He worked for Mattel, and he now works for Crayola. And he is actually a designer, so he actually will not just render, but actually design the pieces. So whatever he draws, whether it's a hood, a scoop, a fender, a dash, door panel, I make it come to fruition. I actually build those pieces from scratch. So based on his either line art or rendering designs, we actually build those pieces.
How did this actually come to start? You've actually been building some custom designs for what, over 10, 20 years?
More like 30 years. Yeah, after pursuing my degree at ASU for a brief stint, I took off to California and worked on several movie cars. Revamped some of the Miami Vice cars, as some people may remember back in the day. And actually, from a spin-off from that, when I returned back to finish my degrees over at ASU, I actually developed the concept based off of that similar vehicle, which was a Daytona Spider on a Corvette frame, which was a C3 68-82 frame. We had developed a Cobra-inspired replica based on a Corvette frame. So that car we called the Cobrette, which is the blend of a Cobra and Corvette. Successfully have been building those since 1991. The car is a little longer and a little wider for a bigger, taller person. And that was debuted again back in 91. We were selling 2 to 4 kits a month, very little promotional except for the internet and just basically word of mouth. It was a supplement in addition to the other things we've always done here at G5, which is muscle, do everyday cars as well. You do whatever you can to pay the bills, obviously. And as I mentioned before, we don't have the high-profile looking shop, the street frontage shop. We do have a clean shop, a rather large facility, about a 10,000 square foot indoor and 8,000 square foot outdoor facility. But for me, I'd like to think it's what goes out the door. At the end of the day, it's the product that the person obtains, customer, or the viewer sees.
What are some of your latest projects? It looks like you've been working with something with Chrysler Mopar. I see a really nice...
That particular car was the G5R. We built a G5 line of vehicles to compete somewhat in the lines of what Saleen or Roush had done. And we had done a G5S, which was a styling car, a G5 SC, a supercharged car, a G5 SC Posey edition, which is what we did with Sam Posey. We actually did bring Sam Posey to SEMA in 2008, where we debuted the Sam Posey Edition Challenger. In addition to that, to help Tastic, very intellectual man. And he suffers, unfortunately, from Parkinson's disease. So we actually donated several thousands of dollars to his the Parkinson's Foundation on behalf of him. We tried to pay him to come to SEMA, and he said, you know what, why don't you just donate all that money to Parkinson's to help the cause? So everything we build, we try to add or somewhat supplement that, that part of our cause. That particular car was over the top. That was built in 90 days with 36 other vendors bringing parts back and forth here in town and from different states and so forth. We also built, as the car you mentioned on the wall, which the G5R, which stands for race. That was a twin turbo car. Everything was done underneath the car. The turbos were polished stainless that fit underneath the bottom of the car there. And both cars were never really campaigned to race or anything. They were just, again, styling, impressions. They were functional. They were definitely, a drivable, functioning car with safety in mind. Everything we also do, which is unique, is we incorporate in the design safety. So if we pull and restyle a bumper like we did, we do not alter the bumper reinforcement brackets, the airbag control modules, even the seat belts. When we built the Posey car, for example, full cage inside, aluminum back seat, laser cut delete in the back, 4-inch polished stainless exhaust out the side of the body, laser cut stanchion surrounds to cover the exhaust. Viper heat insulators, they're $500 a foot. We had probably 10 feet of that. It's air tested. We put carbon dioxide testers inside the car with the windows up to make sure nothing would leak, because this was actually a customer's car that we converted, that particular car that was debuted at SEMA. We actually used to, like I said, we would work with an OEM manufacturer, and we do an image vehicle program where they actually will donate a vehicle to us. It's a very rare program. You have to basically get up to that level where you get to where they actually work with you, and it's based on your background. And, of course, you have to get to that background.
You were telling me kind of an interesting story, a real interesting, like Chrysler, and how many were actually submitted, and you got chosen out of how many?
Well, that was in 2006. We built a mega cab we called the Megalo, and that was a 2006 Dodge Ram 1-ton dually mega cab. We actually dropped it 13 inches down on full air ride suspension by Air Ride Technologies. We C-channeled the rear frame, custom-built rear composite quarter panels, roll pan on the back. Everything was smooth. There's no more handles in the back on the deck. The door handles are all remote. Changed the hood, full interior changed by Catskin, custom one-off built Budnick machined one-piece wheels, all 6, powder-coated, and a 2-tone paint job, custom side skirts, upgraded the turbo, and that truck was built in 90 days. And that's, again, what you talk about this program, it's very rare that you can be obtained. It's approximately 3,000 people submit to get an image vehicle. There's 1 or 2 SUVs, and it's all based on your proposal, your ability, and you have about 90 days to do it.
Chris Wilkins, walk us through the steps of how an idea is put on paper, developed, and then put into the garage and rolled out the door and onto a show.
Well, the crazy part is just the extreme timeline that just seems impossible. And I've learned through building these SEMA cars, I always have a backup for a backup. What I mean by that is, let's say we have someone that does a custom interior. We usually work with Catskin, great vendor, but we need someone to install it. And sometimes there's some tweaks that need to be made, maybe custom console that they don't actually do that piece. So I'll have a vendor that just does interior, but yet I'll have another vendor, or, you know, I had a problem at the shop, my sewer cut his hand, whatever. You just have to have these all backed up. And I work with usually 30 to 40 vendors to build these cars under extreme timeline. We bring in about 10 to 14 people. We work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week for 90 days to build a car. It's based on a limitation. I think the automakers think it's kind of a joke for us to put the pressure, extreme pressure, and build this crazy, wild idea. Also, when they work with us, if it doesn't look like it does, they'll never work with you again. So it has to duplicate that rendering.
So when you see these similar to that when you're in that back garage?
Yeah, the difference is usually the TV shows are 300 people behind the scenes, and we're usually 10 people behind the scenes. But again, walking back, I'm just letting you know some of the steps. Again, I work with Mr. McBride. He'll actually do the rendering. Everything we do is over the internet, as hard as that is to imagine. People say, I can't believe you work with a designer and everything's over the phone. And we have our little spats about design abilities, but sometimes we're restricted. You know, he'll want a custom one-piece front bumper, and the mold has to be two pieces. Easy to talk. Great example I tell everybody is if you had a basketball, you have to make a mold of the basketball. The mold has to come apart in two pieces, the top and bottom half, and then it comes together. Well, you have to have the basketball, and that's what I make. I make that. They call that the prototype, the plug, the one-off, whatever term you wish to use. It's in the industry. We use the term the plug. We actually developed that based on his renderings. We'll also work with designs, measurements. I usually use simple technique. A lot of people use CAD based on the project, and we'll either have it done with a 5-axis machine, which is very rare, using tooling board. It's a hard-press board. Basically, think of a robotic arm with a router bit on the end, and they shape and build it through CAD measurements. We usually do this by hand. We use what's called pour foam. Similar foam you would see like at Home Depot or something. You've ever had a fake plant in your house and you stick the little plant in there, that hardened foam. It's similar to that.
Are the days of clay over?
We still do clay. That's more OEM's in-house styling houses. They do that. For us, it's just fast, speed, quick. My background is an expertise is with composites. One of the largest suppliers I work with is Evercoat Corporation. Again, another big sponsor. I'm not just touting them, but I've used them. I pursue them because I use so much of their product to so much success. They have what's called an intermix technology, which means you can use their filler, their putty, and their primer, and they will intermix. They won't fight each other.
Well, you've worked on movie cars. Of course, custom cars. Who are some of the people you look toward that you say, wow, I really respect their work? Are you a fan of Chip Foose or anybody like that? Maybe Boyd Coddington?
You know, I don't follow a lot of the other people. I do watch and definitely respect Foose Designs. Unbelievable. There's Troy, some of the other big guys out there. We just like to set the mark ourselves. I really don't gauge it against other people. And we do a little bit of a repertoire, if you would say, is we're in the muscle race car aspect, maybe for the new cars. That's what we've chased. Like the truck I told you about, the Megalo, that was inspired through the Craftsman Race Truck series. So it has the look and appeal of a Craftsman truck on a 1-ton dually mega cab that we lowered all the way down to the ground. We worked with Everham Motorsports. They fully endorsed the truck, as well as Casey Kane when he was the number 9 back then. So try to work with him. Laser cut spoiler on a Tuesday, and Thursday morning it arrived at my door here from North Carolina.
So if somebody wants one of these vehicles, what's your website?
We're SEMAshowcars.com. That's the best place to go to.
What about for the Cobra?
Yeah, the Cobra would be CobraReplicas.com.
Fascinating. More with Chris Wilkins and Mark Roman in our next edition of KarKix.
Don't forget to tell our sponsors that you heard about them on KarKix. That's how we keep the show rolling. KarKix will be right back.
Hagerty provides specialty insurance for more classic cars than anyone else in the world. They specialize in classic and collector cars. Since that's all they do, they're able to focus all their attention on you, your collection, and your particular needs. your usage, your interests. They offer a guaranteed value policy that allows you to cover your car for what it's worth, and you receive every cent of your car's insured value in the event of a covered total loss. Hagerty's service and knowledge are unparalleled. They understand the collector car market and the importance of insuring your car for its true value. And they know how to handle claims on damage to your classic cars. For example, they have a parts specialist on staff whose only job is to track down the perfect replacement part. Hagerty is made up of people who own collector vehicles, closely follow the market, and know the history of the auto industry. They've experienced the joys and challenges of restoration and attend every car event they can get to. Contact Hagerty Insurance today and see the difference on the web at Hagerty.com or call 877-922-9701. Tell them you heard about them on KarKix.com. It's the KarKix Car Cap, a great ball cap for just $10. You can be a part of the ruling elite with your KarKix Car Cap. Stop being laughed at by your mom. Get the hat. Just $10 plus tax and handling, and an agent of a semi-governmental agency will deliver it to wherever you get your U.S. mail. Get the KarKix Car Cap today at KarKix.com. That's KarKix.com.
Buckle up, because here we go. Now, here's Bob Lang.
On previous episodes of KarKix, you heard the story of the startup of Barrett-Jackson. They started in '71, and they produced the world's greatest collector car events in Scottsdale, Palm Beach, and Las Vegas, Nevada, as well as Orange County, California. This year in Scottsdale, they generated more than $92 million in gross sales of rare high-end collectible vehicles, exotics, customs, classics, hot rods, resto mods, all kinds of vehicles during the 41st annual Arizona auction at Westworld in Scottsdale, and that ran January 15th through the 22nd. A record number of attendees showed up. Some 270,000 people were there. Those numbers represent a 32% increase in sales and a 16% increase in attendance over just last year. Think about that. How does that relate to your perception of the car market and the potential values of classic cars? I said that so you could repeat it to your spouse before you try and buy that 72 MGB. At Barrett-Jackson, a 48 Tucker Torpedo, one of only 54 ever made, was the top-selling vehicle, getting $2.9 million. A world record sale for a Tucker. Following the Tucker in top sales was a 47 Bentley Mark IV by Fran A for $2.75 million. Rounding out the top was a 54 Mercedes Gullwing with only 4,159 original miles, the lowest mile model known to exist in the world. Other incredible things that went on at Barrett-Jackson. More than $5.8 million was raised for local and national charities through the sale of 22 vehicles, including generous proceeds from sales and generous donations for the Barrett-Jackson-sponsored child help charity to benefit victims of child abuse and neglect. But that wasn't all. I witnessed an act of generosity that just kind of shook me. They were selling off a NASCAR for, I believe it was for wounded veterans, and the bid had gotten to $250,000 for the car. And of course, the car's not worth it. They're doing this for charity. So the hammer falls and the car sells for $250,000. A man in a blue suit, who I still to this day do not know who he is, turned to the podium and said, "I will match that bid in a donation." So the car immediately became $500,000 to the veterans. And if that weren't enough, a lady in the audience stood up and said, "I'll throw $100,000 on top of that." So, for the perception that all these rich folks are self-serving and greedy and not into charity, there were at least 3 that day that made it through the eye of a needle. New bidders at Barrett-Jackson were more than 50% of total bidders, and nearly half of the consigners were also new. And something that I predicted, which I'm very proud to report back to you, a surge in pickup trucks, consignment and sales. More than 150 pickups were auctioned. That accounts for more than 10% of the sales there. I've been watching prices of these restored pickups creeping from the mid-teens to high teens to low 20s to even as high as some of the 30s for most of them. But then there was this 48 cab-over Chevrolet, fresh off a 2-year full restoration, which sold for $97,900. You know, that was a battle between bidders right there. The first ever do-it-yourself lifestyle exhibit at Barrett-Jackson featured a how-to on how to get your car on the auction block. They had a strong celebrity involvement at the Barrett-Jackson this year, above and beyond the ones that you'll hear here on KarKix. There were Bret Michaels, Jay Leno, Alice Cooper, Nancy Grace, Kathy Lee Gifford, and Jordan Sparks. All in all, Craig Jackson said they had a record number of cars cross the block and were able to offer some of the purest classics and concepts and still had something for everyone with the largest selection of vintage cars and trucks in their 41-year history. They have an eminently affordable cars during the early days, during the first days of the auction. You can connect through KarKix.com to the rest of the world of Barrett-Jackson, but now here is Mark Roman at this year's event.
If you come to Barrett-Jackson, when you walk by the Roush booth and you don't stop, that's your own fault. And with me is actually Mark Yegelo, and he's the product engineer for Roush. Mark, how's the week been for you guys?
Very good, very productive. We're looking forward to a lot of new business based on the contacts we've made this week.
Well, you got some sweet Mustangs here, but you also got some older Fords. I see a Crown Vic sitting here. What year is this?
The Victoria is a 1951, and parked next to it is a 64 Galaxy 500 XL. Both of these vehicles are products of our restoration shop.
I didn't realize you guys do incredible restorations like this.
Well, a lot of people don't, but it's a service that's existed within the organization for a long time, but you had to either be Jack or a friend of Jack to get access to it. We've opened it up to the public now, and for several years now we've been doing pretty much world-class restoration work for the general public.
Now, from the other side, tell me about this Mustang that you got over here.
That is the RS3. It's a 2012 Mustang that's had the Roush Touch applied to it. It has a Roush-charged 5-liter in it that makes 5. It has the brake package, the suspension package. It handles like a race car for the street.
I know I want to take one of these home for my producer, Bob Lang, but let me ask you this. If somebody walks up to your booth here, actually up to your truck, and it says, I'd like to build a car, walk me through the process.
Well, we would determine what the customer's needs and wants are. Do you have a vehicle, or do you want us to procure a vehicle? If it's a vehicle that he has, what kind of condition it's in. Obviously, the price of a restoration is very dependent on the condition of the Corv to start with. A good, clean, rust-free car obviously makes the process go a lot faster, and it's a lot less expensive. And as far as our capability goes, we can do pretty much anything in-house except for rubber and glass. We have our own electrical shop where we do wiring harnesses and produce electrical components. We have a complete body and paint facility. We have a soft trim shop, so we can do complete interiors. Basically, anything that needs to be done, we do in-house.
Tell me about these engines you have on display right here.
Well, we have a full line of Ford-based crate engines, 385 series, plus the new 5-liter Coyote that's in the current Mustang. Power levels anywhere from about 350 horsepower to well over 600, and prices start at about $99.95 and go up from there.
What's new for 2012 with you guys?
Well, on the engine side, I've got a new street rod package called the 331 SRX. We just recently released the 5.0 RSC, the 5-liter supercharged engine, as a crate engine package. And I just got word a couple days ago that the guys at the dynamometer facility back investing on a short deck 8-stack injected engine, which I've given the green light to start selling. So that is my latest product as of about 2 days ago.
Being that you're a product engineer, when you put something to pen and paper and you want to actually produce it, let's say it's an engine or maybe it's something to do with the body style, how long does it actually take?
Well, that's kind of dependent on what the actual component is. In the case of my 5-liter supercharged engine, that was a concept that came about at a social function in the evening. It took about 9 months to put that package together. The other side of the coin is the 331 SRX. We just started working on that about 6 or 8 weeks ago. It's just a slightly different variation of engines that we already build, and that one came together in under 2 months.
How long have you been with Roush?
I started working there in 1981, so it's been a long time.
You've been there for just a little bit, but what's it like to work for one of the premier companies like this?
Well, it's interesting. In the early days, we were a much smaller company, and Jack was involved a lot more in the days. Contact with Jack can be exciting because he is a very aggressive individual, and he likes to have things done his way. We've gotten to be a pretty large company now, so I don't have any real direct contact with him on a regular basis, but his way of doing things still permeates the organization. I guess that's what I'm really trying to say here. It's very aggressive, get the job done, take no prisoners. That's how we approach things.
What's your personal car that you're driving?
Well, I've got a couple of project cars I'd like to get done. I have a Super Performance Cobra, and it's waiting for the engine to be installed. And I've got a 64 Dodge 330 Nostalgia Super Stock drag racer.
So it's not all Ford, but you got a Dodge there.
Well, yeah. The Cobra will have a Ford-based engine in it, but I kind of like all the manufacturers and all the different products.
That's got to be just, a lot of fun to be working for a company like this.
It has been very interesting for over 30 years. I don't ever do the same thing on a daily basis. It's something new all the time.
Will like you never hate to go to work. That's the job to have.
Well, yeah, for the most part. But for the most part, for 30 years, it's been very rewarding.
For 2012, how many of these will you actually produce?
On the Mustang side of the business, being that I'm just a crate engine guy, I really don't know the definitive answer to that, but I'm sure it's probably well in excess of 1,000 vehicles.
Okay, well, let's talk on how many crate engines you're actually going to produce.
We do about 200 a year. So we're shipping one almost on a daily basis as far as work days go. And like I said, it's a full complement of Ford-based crate engines, and we'd love to talk to anybody out there who wants to happen and power their car.
What's that website?
www.roushperformance.com.
Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you.
KarKix on the move in Scottsdale at the Barrett-Jackson. It's the final day. I'm walking through some booths, and I came across a display that shows a before and after. And the name of the company, sir?
Ogden Chrome.
If you're doing any kind of restoration and you've got a car, maybe a barn find that you just found this year, you're starting the process of bringing it back to life. The bumpers are involved. They had chrome back on cars before, didn't they?
They used to have a lot of chrome. Now it's moving mostly plastic, but all your restoration needs, your decorative chrome, your trim, your stainless, your aluminum, your steel, even your pop metal, we can do all of those for you.
Dee, how long have you guys been in business?
Ogden Chrome has been in business over 60 years now.
Okay, that's a lot of work, but tell me, when you have something like this, to go from before to after, how long of a process is that?
It's a very intricate process. We actually go through 22 different steps to take a bumper from its original form that we get it in, removing dents, dings, pit. We grind it down, we polish it before we ever get to the plating. So it actually takes 22 steps to get to the triple plate show chrome.
Okay, and once you're ready to dip, how long is it before it can actually go back on a car?
Once we finish with the chrome, we polish it, and then we can package it up, send it to you, and put it on the car right away.
Been a busy week for you guys here?
This has been a great week for us. A lot of people are having a hard time finding good plating shops around. The EPA has closed a bunch down, the economy. So a place like Ogden Chrome that's been in business so long is really offering a need.
Had a lot of people knocking on the door here this week?
We've had a great turnout here. People have been coming from all over the country asking, what kind of plating do you do? What's your turnaround? What's your customer service like? And when we tell them what we're about, everybody's been very interested.
What's your website?
It's ogdenchrome.com.
And it's Mark Roman for KarKix.com.
Now, here's the host of KarKix, Bob Lang.
Amy Assiter is one of the most recognizable people at the Barrett-Jackson auctions, and it's not just because she's a beautiful woman, but you can hear her call a bid from a mile away, like a champion auctioneer. Well, maybe that's because she is a champion auctioneer. She's won the IAC, the International Auctioneering Championship. But did you know she's also an accomplished singer with a CD titled My Name is Amy? And she's got the heart of a champion, too, as all her profits from her CD go to Mission Freedom's Children, a charity to help returning vets, and more so their families, deal with the wounds of returning vets, to provide educational support and emotional support for the kids so they can better understand the legacy of these heroes. Amy works hard at Barrett-Jackson Auctions, and it shows in this interview with Mark Roman.
The Barrett-Jackson is over, and the hardest working woman in the automotive industry for the week, Amy Assiter. How you feel?
Well, let's just say it's a marathon, and I'm glad we crossed the finish line finally.
Oh, just a great year. Looks like all the prices were up, weren't they?
It was really strong. There was an awesome momentum going into the auction. It maintained it all the way through it, and it ended just with a full house and great prices all the way to the very end.
Tell me about the energy and the adrenaline this year.
It was a lot of fun. The prices and the people, there were new buyers coming out of the woodwork, and the big comparative to the prices 4 or 5 years ago.
Economy coming back?
I hope the economy is coming back. I hope this is a sign.
Yeah, I get the impression it is. Now, how many years have you been here yourself?
This is my 10. This marks my 10th year.
Well, congratulations. Now, you and Spanky have also got a school, don't you?
We do. It's an auction finishing school is basically what it is. It's not a beginner's necessarily, but it's chance to take that auctioneer who's been to the auction school, and then we basically just brush them up.
There's really an art form at its side. Tell me some places that somebody might actually be able to go to do what you do.
Well, there are places all over the country. There are auction schools all over the place, but ours, the one that we teach at, is called Worldwide College of Auctioneering, and it's in Mason City, Iowa. They've turned out more champions than any other school in the country, and we just really love them. That's where we teach. So,
awesome. How many weeks are you on the road for these?
For the Barrett-Jacksons, let's see, we're now down to 4. We're probably 5 weeks a year on the road for them, give or take 5 or 6 weeks.
Amy, thank you so much.
Very much.
In addition to all the fun you heard at Scottsdale from this year's auctions, we also had Kissimmee, Florida that just closed, and they had to have run about 2,000 cars across the stage there. There are lots of events in the USA every year that warrant coverage. We'll do our best to cover them all. We won't get to them all, but we'll try. The Scottsdale sales in January are so broad in scope, we hope to bring them to you each year. Hope you enjoyed the program. Visit us on Facebook at KarKix. See you next time with more KarKix.
That's all for now. See you right here next time with more KarKix. KarKix is a production of Spirited USA, who is solely responsible for its content. Copyright 2011. All rights reserved. Join us on the web at KarKix.com. That's KarKix.com. And on Facebook and Twitter. See you later. Bye-bye.